everybody, and welcome to Bestseller TV. I'm Taryn Winterbrill. Today we're discussing the book, Make Unstoppable Simple, Creative Problem Solving in Life and Leadership. And we're here with the author, Dina Simon. It's great to have you with us.
Thanks, great to be here.
So the number one question on everyone's mind is, how do you define unstoppable and how do you make it simple? So let's start with unstoppable first.
Awesome. So unstoppable, I think is just energy. It's powering through, having goals. How do you figure out where your roadblocks are and how do you work through things so that you're unstoppable? So often I think we get stuck in fear and not wanting to move through things. And so just to be unstoppable and power through.
So your book is sort of a step-by-step guide to achieve that goal. Don't make unstoppable stop you from forging ahead. And one of the interesting things that sort of the first step is you say you have to look at your own life, this idea of self-reflection. Why is that so important, Dina?
I think in anything, if you have a goal or something you want to accomplish, you really have to reflect on who am I, what do I bring to the table. So often we are so busy, just moving fast in life, and really taking a look at what skills do I bring to the table, how can I work through this problem or solution, and then what do I need to bring around me to make it simple. So if I don't have what I need, how do I get the people and the network around me to help me make it simple?
So let's discuss a little bit more of the process. You need to look at your life. Yep. And then what do you say to C-suite executives who might be going through this roller coaster of, these roadblocks?
Yeah. One of the things, I think that's fascinating is we are always moving so fast. So that real self-reflection and leaders taking time, whether it be go off on a retreat somewhere, have people around you, but really reflect on what has that leadership journey been, what have been the challenges they've gone through in the past, and how have they navigated through them, what were the situations, and really spending that reflection time is so powerful to say, wow, here's where I have really done well, here is where maybe I haven't done well, and what were the situations, who were the people around me. But I think you have to know what you bring to the table and then what you don't bring to the table.
So perhaps it's C-suite executives aren't really looking at the big picture. They're not figuring out what worked and what didn't.
Yeah.
So you get actually really personal in your book. Can you tell us about some of your own experiences and how you worked through what was unstoppable for you?
Yeah, I was actually preparing for a women's group that I have in Minneapolis, and we were working on our leadership journey from really talking about when did we personally step up as leaders and how has that traveled through then our careers and things. And I went back to when I was a baby. I really looked at where are there times in all of our lives that we had to step up and lead in school and things of that nature. And I really feel my journey, so I do get really personal. I start from, I was a baby, I was placed for adoption when I was a child, and what that meant to me in my life, and always being really proud of the family that I was born into because I was adopted into them. And the characteristics of that family that I, have very much a part of me, how blessed I was to have them. And then as I moved through my childhood, my mom, my adopted mom, but my mom committed suicide when I was 12. Gosh. And so that power of going through something so young, that's not unique to me. Many people have gone through situations like that. But really what that time in my life, being 12 years old, losing my mom in the way that I lost her, and having to step up and be a leader. I had a little sister who was 4 years younger than me, and an older sister who was off at college and actually came back home to help take care of us too. So the things that you go through early on, and really reflecting on if you can get through that, then later in life, in many leadership, situations that I've been in, hey, if I can get through that, I can get through anything. And so that self-reflection of what were those tools and processes, and how did I work through those things?
So you encourage everyone to sort of look at those big sort of maybe catastrophes or big moments, good or bad, and see what worked for you. So let's talk a little bit more about some of the steps to making unstoppable simple. One of the other things you discuss is obviously maybe this idea of changing career tracks. It can be a scary and a daunting thing for most people, I would imagine. So what are your recommendations in terms of that avenue?
Absolutely. So, and there's so many people right now in transition or contemplating transition, and you work so hard, climbing the corporate ladder to say, okay, is this where I want it to be?
Do I want to start over? Right.
Is this the career? Is this the company? And really going back and looking at that. So that actually is a really fun process too, and going back and really looking at where have I been successful successful, what have been the areas, the type of work I was working on, and really reflecting on those, talents that somebody brings to the table, and then working with somebody to really say, okay, here's the career I was in, as far as industry I was in, where are their transferable skills? What else could I be doing? Where could I take this to? And really uncovering that, because there is definitely a race for talent out there. There's a lot of organizations that have, there's quite a few companies in Minneapolis that I do coaching with, and they're scared to death because from the middle management up to the senior management, people are getting ready to retire. That just workforce, and then how are they grooming leaders? And so really taking a look at what are those skills, what are those areas that they've been in, and how could they transfer skills into another area.
So for someone who's on the fence, what do you recommend?
Probably working with a coach, and really kind of somebody who can outside in.
One of the most important components of the book I found on a personal level is you discuss this idea of build a relationship with your boss. Don't be afraid to build relationships with senior executives, especially for people who might be changing careers or sort of maybe at the beginning of the work, their journey on the workforce. Yeah. A lot of people see the senior executives very intimidating and daunting, these untouchable figures that, I can't go there. But if you are starting a new career, let's say, or if you're in the middle, you recommend to reach out because they're people, right? And they probably would appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of my first jobs in the staffing industry, Jerry Shaw was one of the founders of Volt, which was a staffing organization that I worked for, and probably in his 70s at that time, and just people tried to protect him, and you couldn't just necessarily go talk to him. Well, I didn't. That's not how I worked, and so I built a strong relationship with him. And if I needed him to come out and work with, and we had big companies, Apple, HP, that we were working with, and if I needed the founder of the company, I could pick up the phone, call him. He could be there, work with us, with the clients, work with the team, and I just can't imagine not having that relationship.
Right.
And I do talk about that in the book. He was I called him, and we did like 4 days out in the field, and I drove him around Northern California, and he was one of the first people to meet my daughter.
Wow.
And, just that I'll never forget that. But he's just a regular person. And so many people are intimidated by that C-suite at that level, and they love it. He wanted to be out in the field. He wanted to be meeting with the customers and appreciated that he was asked.
So what are some of the sort of the tips you give readers? How do you do that? How do you
approach
that area?
Yeah, I think it's different within any organization, depending on the culture of the organization and who those gatekeepers are in front of those people, and how to navigate through. And if you are able to say, here's why I want a meeting, and here's what my outcome is or my goals are, and just start talking. There's no harm in starting that conversation.
Right. So I think it's important just to be clear on what the goal is, as opposed to just, I'd love to talk to you. They probably won't.
And waste your time.
Yeah. You have to have a sort of a specific agenda.
Exactly.
I like the idea when you say don't operate in fear of losing a paycheck, because sadly that is the situation, especially in the economy we're in.
Yep.
But what do you say?
Yeah, I certainly, yes, would be afraid to really lose the paycheck, but I always tried to operate from, I'm going to go, I'm going to show up, I'm going to do everything I can every day to do the right thing, bring my best self, and if there's something that I do that is wrong and I lose that paycheck, there is always another opportunity out there, and so not to let that fear, make me stop and not do what I felt I needed to do for the right things for, my team I was leading, for the customers, and be vocal about that. And that's part of that unstoppableness, just as far as moving forward on things.
Right. There's also sort of a gut feeling too, if you're crossing the line, but a lot of times people are hindered by trying to advance just because of that fear. But once you take that first step, it's, I wanted to touch upon this idea of learn and continue to learn. How do you encourage C-suiters to embrace that concept? Because a lot of times you have a lot of people around you, you feel you're, just sort of steering the ship. You know what you need to know, everything's going well, why fix it if it's not broken? But you say it's really important to really, to not have that mindset?
Yeah, I've learned a lot over the last couple of years, really, too, in the whole generational learning. And so for our nonprofit that we have that my daughter started, we have from age 10 to 65 sitting around a boardroom table. And that learning piece, if you think you know what you know and nothing's broken, why
if everything's
go
going
break
so
it?
well,
yeah.
right.
But that opportunity to look at new things, look at new ideas, so go learn, go figure out what's going on out in other organizations. Take a look at your competition even, just really learning what's going on out in the business community. Where can we leverage and learn things from others? But there's so much out there from an education standpoint, and so much for opportunity for people to go out and learn things, bring it back to the table, and teach others, just to expand knowledge and continuing to grow.
So to C-suiters out there who think they know how to be unstoppable because they're doing great,
right?
What would you like to say to them as to why they really should read the book?
Yeah, I think my call to action is always just really that self-reflection, and so the reason I took the time to write the book was hopefully to inspire those C-suiters to go back and really say, where has my leadership journey? Where did it start? Where have there been times in my life that things have happened? Again, I think we get so busy with our heads down, plowing through, we actually forget that, some of those gifts that we bring to the world, both to ourselves, the teams around us, and to start having some conversations around it. Because we've probably gone through things that people that are reporting into us have gone through before, but maybe we even forgot because we didn't take the time to really reflect on
when
it.
things are going so well, you sort of forget sometimes where you came from, but it's really important to stop, look at the journey, and look at the good times and the bad times as you move forward. Well, Dina Simon, terrific. Thank you. Wonderful insights. The book is called Make Unstoppable Simple, and you can. All you got to do is read the book. You can find the book and a link to buying the book and more excerpts at our website, www.csuitebookclub.com. That's C-suitebookclub.com. Thank you so much for joining us, Dina, and thank you. We'll see you next time on Bestseller TV.